says, "So, I've been lurking on this sub for a year, and I figure I owe all you my story. This sub has been super helpful, and it's payback time." Well, hey, we like payback stories. Some background here. I'm a successful entrepreneur, and business has grown into a retirement-level savings. My family of four has a nice house in the suburbs of a big city, 4 acres, etc., etc. We also have a ski condo. Last year, my younger son got into a competitive snow sports program that required a parent, me, to move to our ski condo for the winter. My now ex-wife, against my wishes, thought it would be a good time to put a $600,000 addition onto the house, which I let her manage while I was in ski house. $600,000 addition on the house. I mean, the kids are probably going to be out of the house soon. Like, they need all that freaking room. See, guys, how much money you save by not being married? They will spend and spend and spend. She brought our other son 3 hours to the ski condo almost every weekend. We had what I thought was a normal 20-year relationship, some fights, some disagreements, but SCX was consistent, we were good partners, and great parents. So we thought. Well, after the season ended, I returned home, and literally, the way home from the airport with kids in the car, some sex from the contractor starts showing up on the screen of the car that my wife forgot to disconnect. Ooh. My son read them to me, and it said, "Bathroom sneak, bedroom sneak, love, etc." while we were driving. My blood went cold. This poor guy. And to make matters worse, the freaking kids were saying this. And guess what? I'm not quite sure how old they are, but they're not dumb. They know what's going on. But then again, maybe this is a good thing because this helps Dad's story. Well, I went into complete shock and asked to see her phone to gather the context of those text messages. She got cagey and was deleting things, but then handed me her phone. Asked? I wouldn't be asking. I'd be demanding. In fact, I'd be taking that goddamn thing right out of her hand. There wasn't anything with the contractor, but I opened Instagram, which had plenty of very inappropriate conversations. Enough that I knew that there was an affair. Whether it was emotional or physical, I wasn't sure. It doesn't matter. I don't remember the rest of the ride home, and the kids knew something was way wrong. When we got home, she and I went into the bedroom and started discussing what happened. At first, I got the "it isn't what you think, and we were just joking" story. What a load of crap. I looked her in her eyes as she lied, and she was more animal than human, unable to admit what I saw with my own eyes. Of course. That's what they do. Gaslighting. You're out of your mind. How could you not trust me? It was a joke. Doesn't matter, honey. I had suspected her and the contractor had a too close relationship for months. I catch her talking on the phone with him, and she was talking to him like her mom about things that had nothing to do with our home renovation. Well, that's when you should have been nipping it in the bud, big time. The gaslighting was already months old. Even the kids would ask why she was sending pictures of them to the contractor, and of course she gave them their first lesson in gaslighting. This woman is a piece of garbage. At least the kids see this. And she's sending pictures of her kids to her lover. Because this contractor was also months late on our home renovation, shocker, we were living in our cottage. Our kids could hear the conversation we were having. We scheduled an emergency meeting with our marriage therapist that we hadn't spoken to in a few years. Hang on. They have a marriage therapist? So clearly things haven't been so great. If at some point they had a marriage therapist. 20 years, just a few fights, no big deal. Well, if you had a marriage therapist, there were problems there. And gee, who couldn't see this coming? The kids wanted to know what was up. I told her she had to tell them what was happening or I would. She admitted that she was having an affair with the contractor. The older son and I cried. They wanted to know why this marriage. Let me say this again. They wanted to know why this marriage that hadn't had any noticeable issues was blowing up. Well, dude, smack! Don't cry in front of your wife. Don't ever do that. Your kid can. I don't know how old the kid is. My oldest son, unbeknownst to us, called up his friend from school, who he was in chemistry with, to tell her that her dad, the contractor, and his mom were having an affair. Another family nuked. Her mom and his wife called me and asked if it was true and if she could see the text. At this point, I had the last weeks of text, which hadn't been deleted from her phone. 400 pages of text messages in 7 days. What the hell are they talking about? And I know this isn't just nudes they were sending. They were texting nonstop, and that didn't include Snapchat and Instagram messages. Don't these morons have a fucking life? I mean, if they're having an affair, this is terrible. 2 families ruined. I hope that this contractor's wife takes him to the cleaners, takes his business. The files of text were so big they couldn't even be emailed, and I had to share via Google Files. His wife thanked me and was off to her own story. I tried to sleep that night, but I could not. Somehow she was able to sleep in our bed. I woke her up a few times to ask her what the fuck. She, with her crocodile tears, cried and said we should go to therapy. There you go. The waterworks. And yeah, he can't sleep, but she's sleeping like a baby. Because in her mind, either she's going to end up with the contractor, or she'll just gaslight this guy to forgive her. And see, she wants to go to the marriage therapist. She moved out in the morning at my request. Good for you, man. I stayed with the kids. At first, she stayed with a mutual friend and then moved into a hotel. We saw the therapist first thing on Monday morning. Why? Come on here, it's over. But what's done is done. Well, the therapist asked all the questions you would expect. Is this affair worth blowing up a 20-year marriage that up until this point hadn't showed signs of big trouble? Why did she seek validation from the contractor? Do you see a future with him or your family? All these things, then the follow-ups. She admitted that she had fallen for him, especially his, what I would learn later, love bombing. She had no remorse for me or the kids. Let's remember something here. She's not just cheating on her husband here. She's cheating on the kids, too. And right there, no remorse for him or the kids. This is why you got to show no mercy, because they don't show mercy to you. I did not recognize this person one bit. The therapist said this was a critical juncture, and we both needed time to de-escalate. No, you need time to divorce. The therapist said I shouldn't make a decision about leaving for a few weeks at least, and that my ex should go no contact with the affair partner, contractor, and we both agreed to this. What a steaming pile of crap. There is no way she's going to suddenly stop talking to the guy. And also, this whole thing is a steaming pile of crap. Why waste your time? It's over. At this point, my mind was shifting wildly between divorce with prejudice and reconciliation. As I put it at the time with my friends, my mind would never be able to get over this, but my heart would never get over her, so I had to try. Smack! You're wasting your time, bro. My oldest son made me promise to try, so at least I would go through the motions. Okay, he's doing it for his kids, but still, kids don't understand these things. And by the way, once a cheater, always a cheater. And if he stays with her, you think she's not going to do it again? You think she's going to respect this guy? No, she'll do it again. And how do we not know this hasn't happened before? What was the cause of the other marriage issues that led them to marriage counseling? That week, she was going to work and live in the hotel. She would stop off at home to see the kids. We would talk, and she was confused. Yeah, the old "I'm confused" speech. I don't think she's at all confused. Well, on Tuesday, the affair partner's wife called and told me that she had spoken on the phone, even though they both promised to go no contact. I confronted her about this, and she denied it, first saying I had control over all her devices. My wife later then admitted that she had talked to him on her work phone, but it was just to tie up loose ends. Of course she's talking to him. Nobody bullied that she wasn't going to stop talking to the guy in this 2-week break. Well, later on that week, after a few drinks with commiserating with friends nearby, I decided to visit her at the hotel. I called her cell phone on the way there, and she didn't answer. I called again as I was pulling into the hotel. She picked up the phone, sounding very strange. As I pulled in next to her car, she could hear her car unlocking, knowing I was there. She started screaming, "You can't come in!" And I asked why, and she said the affair partner was there. Bro, it's over. As if it wasn't obvious already. At that point, I shut down. I sent a few nasty texts as I drove home, calling her a WHORE, and that it was over and we were now going to be at war. I started looking around for lawyers. One of my friends was 2 years into a nasty divorce, and his lawyer was a real psycho. I hired him the next day. He told me I would know when she hired a lawyer because she would try to get back into the house. I went out with friends the next day, and I felt some relief from knowing that reconciliation was no longer on the table. Well, good. That's the thing. Like, he now knows it's over. And it's time for battle. You know? The worst thing is being in that back and forth stage when there's no real plan of action, the uncertainty. But now he knows. For the moment, her and the affair partner moved into a spa hotel and were living together, their best lives together without family to think about. This went on my credit card, but she promised that the affair partner would pay us back. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. You should have canceled your card. You can guess how that went. So notice, by the way, guys, where's mom for the kids? She's totally abandoned the kids. I feel bad for the kids because they're going to be hurt by this. But then again, they're seeing her true colors. At this point, I wasn't eating much and dropping lots of pounds. I wasn't fat, but people were already starting to notice. I started looking like I lost weight. And more than one person said I looked shell-shocked. My friends who were affair victims both told me that besides having a lawyer and a gym, I now needed my own narrative. I started telling all of our friends what really happened. She had already started telling friends that we had been over for years, and it was just her moving on, news to me. Right there. That's why you control the narrative. He took too long. See, in her mind, it's been over for years, so, no big deal. That was with the affair partner. I got to take care of me. Nope. Well, in retrospect, I probably didn't need to reach out as far as I did. This is like the kind of crazy story that has its own legs. And of course, there's another nuke family in our small town also spreading the same news. Yeah, to make matters worse, they're in a small town. I spent a lot of my life in a small town, and it is gossip central. That's why I don't live in that small town. All like clockwork, a few weeks later, she got a lawyer who advised her that not only did she need to get back into the house, but if she was going to have any hope of staying in the house, she would have to accuse me of some sort of domestic violence. This is why you go to war, guys, because they're going to do it. This guy's done nothing wrong. And this is what he's getting. Being the tech genius that she is, she left that email from her lawyer up on the computer screen for me to see. What a moron. Oh. And then imagine her making the accusation, making a false report to the police. And he's got it right there, proving she was doing this. We were prepared, and by that time, we were back in the main house. My lawyer said that we could give her the cottage and not lose domain rights to the main house. She moved in, and her mother soon moved in there with her. Oh, for goodness sake. I shaved my beard and continued to lose weight. Therapy with our old marriage therapist was great because she knew exactly the person I was getting over. I had also started going to the gym to lift weights religiously. Good for you, dude. That will make you feel better. It may be hard to get to the gym, feeling like crap, but once you're in the gym and start pumping iron, gonna feel better. I was hitting the gym so much that I couldn't even take a day off. Well, you should always take one day off a week. I was starting to get the looks in town, and my friends would often not recognize me right in front of their faces. I started taking pictures of myself and built a dating profile. My sorrow was shifted to anger, and that felt so good. Well, good. You deserve to be angry. Use that anger. He says, moving on, and he says, if this triggers you, you can stop here. Now we're going to get into our guy dating, which is way too soon in my opinion. You should be through the divorce, because she could use this against you. Well, my first date was 45 days after the affair was discovered. I linked with a few interesting gals. I started conversations with them, and things went okay. I found out pretty quickly that exactly no normal women were interested in having a date with a guy 45 days out of an affair ending 20-year marriage. Well, obviously. Any good gals out there, and there are good ones, even though it's hard to find them, yeah, you're in the middle of a divorce, you're 45 days out, talk to me after you get divorced. So I tweaked my story. In other words, you lied. I hadn't lived with my ex-wife for half a year, which was true because of the ski house, but not exactly right. I had the most luck on Bumble and Facebook dating, but I also tried Tinder and Hinge. Smack! Fucking cesspool. I paid for multiple months up front since this was going to be a process. My first Tinder date was with a gal about 15 years younger than me, a town over. She was cute, but probably too country for me. We met up at a crowded bar and started to chat. There were a lot of awkward pauses. She started to talk about some conspiracy theories that she had and support for the opposite political party that I supported. Yeah, this is not going to work. And this is from a Tinder date? I mean, if you're going to do the Tinder date, at least you can get laid. Just, if you're attracted to her, just, for God's sakes, wear protection. And don't tell her where you live. It says here, I left as soon as I could, but did get information about her enough to figure out who she was on Google later. Turns out she had offed a motorcyclist a few years ago in her car. Oh. For all I knew, she had an ankle bracelet on our date. What a bad start. No more Tinder dates for me. Well, I said it. Tinder's a cesspool. Luckily, before the dust settled, on my first attempt, I matched with an impressive businesswoman from a few towns over, and we took to longer conversations about our shared religion and kids and love of dogs. We agreed to meet up at a coffee place near where she was from, a place that I was familiar with. Conversation in person was good. We had some stuff in common. There were some laughs, and I ironically felt like I was cheating on my wife. Then she asked about my ex, and I felt empowered to launch into the story. I could see the fun fall off her face, and I tried, but I just could not ruin the date. I got a text later that day saying the timing wasn't right. Correct. See? They were hitting it off until I started telling her what was going on. And, I mean, who knows what she was like, but if she was one of the good ones, still doesn't want to be in the middle of this drama, even though most love drama. Well, I had a lot more conversations and a few more uneventful dates that didn't go anywhere. You see how difficult it is for a guy, compared to women? Well, I met an Albanian woman who was really into me, but her profile pictures were from about 10 years ago, and she seemed too old for me. How many guys have been on dates when that happened? I had a conversation with a widow, but she was far away with a busy schedule and never found time to meet. I chatted with a grandma that was hot, but I wasn't ready to cross that bridge. A few other mediocre dates and basic hookups happened. Basic hookups, okay. All right, he was getting laid. If that helped him move on, again, I hope word protection. But let's go back to this grandma business. Grandma is like in her fucking 60s and 70s? Or was she like a grandma in her late 40s and her daughter was a dumbass and got knocked up early on? I don't know. So I then met a cute blonde about 15 miles away. We went on a date and were both attracted to each other. Kissed at the end of the first date. About 75 days after the affair reveal, I'd taken home this blonde and was having amazing SCX with her in my marital bed. Well, if this is what he's doing, if his lawyer is saying don't worry about it, I guess you're getting divorced anyway. Okay, whatever. But personally, I don't think you should do any of this shit until the divorce is done. But for some guys, this is how they get through it. I didn't perform that well, to be honest, but it was respectable for the first time with a new woman in 20 years. She didn't know the importance of course. Ultimately, she wasn't a great fit for me, and we ran out of things to talk about. Well, again, you got some practice. Think about it. You're with the same person for 20 years. It's going to be kind of weird the first time you hook up with somebody else. It wasn't a problem for his wife, but it was for him. Well, on Facebook dating, meanwhile, I had somehow been matched with a girl from just over an hour away. Her pictures weren't polished and were somewhat pixelated. I was able to figure out who she was from some of the stuff on her profile, and it turns out she was an Ivy grad school educated gal with a lot in common with me. Uh-oh. Ivy League, huh? I mean, I'm immediately thinking high student loans. I'm immediately thinking indoctrinated far left. I know it's not always the case, but that's what I'm thinking here. But it sounds like this guy probably is too. Whatever, if it works for you. We had a lot in common, blah, blah, blah. We commiserated about our exes. She wasn't yet divorced, but about a year ahead of me in the process. We met for a coffee near where she grew up, about 20 minutes from my home. I told the real truth about my situation. She told me some deeply personal stuff about her situation. No kiss goodbye, but I definitely felt a connection. There were some red flags, of course, but we took it slow. Oh yeah? What red flags? Red flags turned into a giant parade of red flags. Well, I showed up on our second date in my Chevy, and we walked and talked and drove a bit, and I felt a connection to her. As she was getting out of my car, I leaned in for a kiss, and she did not disappoint. It felt so good that I just didn't want to stop. After way too little time, she got out of the car and walked away. I felt something deep that I hadn't felt in forever. Easy, cowboy. I don't need you to go falling in love with some chick you just met. You're still getting through a divorce. But what I like here, guys, even though I don't agree with everything he's doing, It's done. He accepted it. He's hitting the gym, got a good lawyer, already outsmarted his wife in the freaking technology department. He's getting laid, he's getting some practice, getting experience, and he's meeting people, he's having a good... It's taking his mind off the pain he's going through. You gotta do what you gotta do. But I certainly hope he's taking care of his kids. But the best revenge is success, and moving on, not let the other person hurt you. So good. That's what I want to hear. At this point, I should probably say I'm a serial monogamist. Dude, it's obvious. I just can't see someone when I have feelings for someone else. I dropped contact with the other prospects, and I had at that point, including a local woman. We went out on another date, had some drinks, walked, and did lots of talking. More kisses. Luckily, I had a month-long trip coming up that allowed me to get my thoughts together. The Facebook woman kept in touch. We had lots of conversations while I was away. She sent me some sexy pictures, I called her, and she picked me up from the airport. All right, dude, at this point, with all this time dedicated to her, you better be getting some ass at this point. I had a birthday party 5 months after the affair, and I introduced her to many of my friends as my girlfriend. We had a small bump in the road right after that, where I wanted to move too fast, and my animosity towards my ex scared her. That was so devastating to me because of the affair trauma, but I managed to keep it together, and she came to her senses. Shortly after, she said, "I love you." Oh boy. And for a serial monogamist and a guy that's trying to move on, I hope that didn't go to his head. Overall, things have been amazing with her. I'm very much in love, and we are slowly integrating each other's lives. Smack! Come on, dude. Take it easy. That's the problem. Sounds like you're getting attached too quickly, and attachments cause suffering. After what you've been through, I know you don't want to hurt anymore. I know you want to feel good, but come on here. I'm trying to continue to stay slim and muscular, and she's also very healthy. Much more so than my ex. Also much more attractive and smart and funny and nice. Really the whole package. Well, cool. If she is darn good look, if she looks better than his ex, I guarantee that is going to chap his ex's ass. And I guarantee this contractor guy eventually is going to get bored with this dude's soon-to-be ex-wife. And now this dude is with a younger woman, and better looking her, she'll be chasing after him soon enough. He says, he finishes up saying, I'm still going through the divorce, probably at least another year. And I keep a lot of animosity toward my kid's mom in my head at the same time as the newish puppy love that I've found, which is a huge mind fuck. The times where I'm mourning the life I lost are few and far between now, and I built the tools to deal with it through therapy. Well, good for you, man. It's going to be a roller coaster, but over time it's going to get better. I now worry that this great new relationship I have is some sort of rebound, or that I will regret how quickly I moved out of singlehood. Friends of mine who have been divorced for years say that I'm lucky, but I still worry. The therapist also thinks it's healthy, but we have reservations. I have no plans to ever remarry. Well, good. Stick to it. There's no point at this point. Think about it. He was married before. Look what happened. He already got kids, so there's no point. But the problem is, a guy like this that can get attached, and say the woman wants to get married, and pretty much says, either you marry me or I'm leaving, or I want kids, and a guy like this who has attachment issues, okay, and gets married, look what happens. Meanwhile, my ex is still in love with the affair partner Contractor. She's trying to integrate and blend my boys with his kids. They're going around town trying to legitimize their relationship, and frankly, I'm surprised at their success. I've heard that 95% of affair relationships burn out within 2 years, but they seem to be going strong. Well, it's been a year, so give it time. Therapy has taught me that I can't depend on their breaking up for my happiness, but it would still be nice. So that is my year in divorce land after a 20-year marriage. I hope this helps folks out there like me, and the story helped me. Feel free to PM me, and good luck out there. Well, so there you go, guys. Success is the best revenge. Now, we would love to hear that this ended with the wife begging him to come back, the affair partner cheat on her. Something tells me it's going to happen, because this is a year after this went down. So it's horrible what happened to him. Sadly, it happens all the time, guys around the world. But the best way you can do it is accept it's over and move on. And I'm glad he didn't mope around all that. And I think he should have gotten through the divorce, but it's dragging out a while. But if this has helped him, good. And I'm just glad he's wearing protection. But my only concern is he's fallen too deep for this chick, And when a guy falls too deep and is more attached, that puts a gal in the position to take advantage of him. It happens all the time. But I hope he learns from that. So anyhow, guys, you're going through hell, you're suffering, you can move on as he is and start over. Just don't be dumb about it. So good for him. Success is the best revenge, and I guarantee there'll be an update probably in a year when his wife wants to get back, and he's going to be like, F you. Alright guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.